we're going to recap Leadville. Wasn't the plan, but man, was it fun. It was more fun than we were expecting. There was some surprises. But then we're going to dive into UTMB. We're going to look at the famous Nike Boys documentary by Billy Yang and Where Are They Now? We're going to talk about the Fabrice podcast where Fabrice Perrin from UTMB addressed mine and Wolfie's critiques from a podcast. I had him on last week. We're gonna recap some of that. I'm just going to go UTMB all the way. Brian, start with Leadville. We both thought, hey, we should talk about Leadville because we got pumped. What got you pumped about Leadville?
Yeah, just remembering like the good old days when, it was something that had its place on the mantle, podcasts like this, documentaries. It was just something that didn't get brushed aside, I guess, or, wasn't like an accidental oversight of the year.
Yeah.
It always had its place. It always had its voice. And so, yeah, we wanted to make sure that we were doing our best to maybe be part of the resurgence. It seems like it's got some momentum with David's course record last year and, a lot more activations around the event. And so, I wanted to get it into the show and just remind everybody exactly what Leadville is, like just the genesis story. If we could just spend a second, right? I mean, it's a historical mining town in Colorado, and local businessman Ken, saw the town was struggling after a mine closure, which I think a common story across America with manufacturing or mines. And he thought we needed tourism. And so he thought up this idea of let's get a 100-mile race across the sky in these big mountains. And that's the story of Leadville. It was just a race to save a struggling town's economy. And, I think we can all celebrate that. It seems like it's a pretty authentic storyline within the ultra trail community. I mean, what do you think? What do you think about the genesis story?
I love it, man. I love it. I've driven through that town several times. I used to drive from Salt Lake City to Buena Vista. On a map, you would read it as Buena Vista, but I know the locals say Buena, so I'm trying to sound authentic. And you go through Leadville on your way into Buena, and oh my gosh, I mean, that whole area is stunning. Yeah, I think going into Buena, where the collegiate peaks are, like it's perfect. And if you want Americana, it's that, because it's mining of all things. It's like the stuff that as we moved west as Americans, then like that was what was moving us west, was trying to find these things along the way. And so they're mining, and the town's falling apart financially. And what was it, the late 70s, early 80s? And so you just, the people, it's everything that you want. And you could say this about 100 races in America, but the town is awesome. The people are awesome. It's a very good feeling to drive through there, because and then the thought is, someone who's never ran it or been to the starting line and knows exactly where it's at, just the thought of a race going through there when you're at such high altitude. I mean, even driving through it, you're feeling it. So it's special. It's clearly hard, but man, David Roach and Ann Flowers, that was a new name to me. They didn't make it look hard.
No. I mean, both course records fall. I mean, both probably as shocking as the other. I mean, we didn't even know David was going to be in the race until race week. I think there were rumors circulating, that he was going to be there, he possibly would be there. And I mean, yeah, it just sounds like in his post-race wrap-up, his wife was quite, kind of his hype man, his hype girl, and just kept getting in his ear about how she had a feeling that he should be there and he was going to do something special. And there he was again, lowering the course record another 10, 12 minutes.
Whew.
And without any challenger. I mean, he's out there front running basically this race, without anybody pushing him.
That's what I was looking up here. I mean, do you know the distance between him?
Yeah, it was over 3 hours.
Can you believe that? I mean, that's no exaggeration. That is 3 hours between. What let's also acknowledge, Ann Flower got second overall, first female.
Correct.
Brilliant.
3 hours to the next male, right?
Yeah, 3 hours to the next male, but close to 3 hours to her. So, I mean, my first thought was like the race organizers, when you have someone coming in that early, that quick, your finish line may not be ready, your volunteers may not be there. Like that level of course record. And you can see it's like Austin Powers when the machine is like, 100 feet away moving a mile an hour. Like, that it's coming. You can get out of the way of that thing. Like, you knew it was coming, but just like everyone had to be, oh my God, he's coming in so fast. This is just, the excitement had to be like old school, like thrilling excitement.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's what's interesting too about Leadville is that, it's a runnable mountain course. It's only, I say only, right? Because you think of Colorado,
relative,
it's only 15,000 feet of gain, but you're running at like 9,500 to 12,000 feet for the entire 100 miles. So,
Yeah.
I mean, for David to go out there and just put down that effort, and for Annie to go out there and put down that effort, dude, it's incredible,
Yeah.
and it's, in preparing for this podcast, we had a lot of coverage topics for UTMB. You can see why it just somehow just, becomes like collateral damage. Like, you easily overlook it, in hype for UTMB, but
Yep.
what these athletes are doing out there is incredible. And it's not just the elites. Like, the elite field is very small when you think about it. And so it's really a race of just the 95,
Yep.
the fathers, the mothers, the husbands, the wives, the brothers, the sisters.
Yep.
It just seems like there's a lot of family out there supporting these runners. And I don't know why it's not embraced more, and championed louder, within the media space, I guess you want to call it.
Yeah, I think that's why it felt so fun, because there was not a ton of pre-race hype. Podcasts weren't doing their pre-Leadville interviews, or maybe there wasn't. Not any that I paid attention to, and so it just felt like a race. It just felt like people getting out for a race. It's not going to have the marquee folks who ran Western, most likely. It's not. I mean, David, but it's not going to have the marquee who are going to be running UTMB soon. If the marquee runner went for Hard Rock, they're probably not going to go for Leadville. So you're right. Like, it's just where it's time, it's location, everything. It's positioned such that it's for the 95. It's for everybody else. It's really fun.
So something interesting too is that Lifetime Fitness took over they bought the race from Ken, the original founder. Ken's still very much involved, was the face of the race, but Lifetime is the the operating body. They did that in 2010. You know what I mean? So like this is 15 years post acquisition. And so what's kind of strange is that it doesn't have a live stream. And so I had a question for you. Like, what do you think would change for Leadville, good or bad, if they did have a live stream?
This is very, very timely. I not knowing this question was coming, I can't say the person's name, but I've been having a lot of back and forth with somebody who's known in the community. And, so having thought about this, I think the only thing that would happen truly is that Lifetime would be out about $100,000, maybe 2,000, 3,000 people. We're in as a media company, I'm in the business of trying to monetize eyes and ears and think about how much each eye and, each pair of eyes and each pair of ears is worth to a brand. That's not a lot. It's not a lot of money. Let's even say people got real hyped about David Roach and there's 10,000 people waiting to watch him finish. It's still not, it's still not the amount of money that you need to be able to put on that live stream. So even the biggest events among us in America probably still aren't, able to, they're not making media level money. UTMB, I think it gets over 1 million eyes and ears, which in the world of, sports media still is not very, very much. Of course, that's the biggest thing. They can monetize probably better. So my takeaway is as the diehards who don't mind staring at aid stations that are empty with, attendants roaming around in the middle of the night because I'm just such a geek about it. I don't know that we're any worse for it without it. Would it be cool? I don't know. Yeah. My gut is that I didn't miss it all this week. In fact, it was just fun to watch the organic updates on social.
Right. Yeah, I was just curious if it would kind of change the tone, or the impression that people have towards Leadville. You hear a lot of stories. Some are probably true, some probably exaggerated, some probably are just flat out lies, right? About like the atmosphere there being not the right vibe for the community, right? Like people just throwing trash all over the place. Like, there's just these things that get talked about, and it would be nice to actually have a visual of it to really see what it's like there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, from what I saw from Instagram stories, from some of the guys we follow, it didn't look like that. I mean, it looked like a great atmosphere, a great community. And I thought if they could get a live stream, you might, because it's all nothing but the 95, have an environment that's like Cocodona, where it creates this own community of people who, celebrate Leadville because it's just all of us who out there running it.
Yeah. Yeah, other things that come to mind, live stream would be cool if if the technology was there to be able to be right on Cam Hanes the whole time, or right on Truett, like the big names that are attracting more eyes and ears, like them or not. But also, even thinking about that, it makes me think, where Leadville not doing so the live stream seems to be happening in this lane of Aravipa and like the hip/hipster races of high lonesome, hard rock, Western states. Leadville, like you said, 2010 sold out in 2010. They sold out back when there was not enough eyes and ears to be that hard on it, though people were hard on it. So my takeaway is that like Nick Bear runs it. They've been playing in their own lane for a while, and they see this live stream stuff, and they're probably happy with the amount of money they're making. So they're looking at the live stream, they're looking at all that and thinking, if that's not going to make money for us yet, it's probably not time for us to do it. Could we make an extra $10,000 here, $50,000 here with a much lower lift? Probably. But in the end, where I'm going with that is I just love that Leadville has wider arms, more open arms than it seems like any other race does in America, to truly allowing anybody and everybody to be there.
Right. Yeah, I think so. And then what's really kind of fascinating too is, looking at the 100-mile race, and they also have the mountain bike series.
Oh,
it does seem like, just in some cursory research here, there's a wildly different prize pool for the two. And I guess it makes sense because there's a wildly different depth of field at the elite professional level. So I think the Leadville mountain bike race carries a much grander cachet within the mountain bike community than the Leadville 100 does within the trail running community. But it's interesting to think that if the trail running community did, gather together at Leadville 100, could it be, the great American 100-miler that we've been looking for, that could create big prize money because it could just mirror what they're already doing for the mountain bikes.
Great point. It's positioned because it's comfortable just swimming in its own lane. I think that's when I think of Leadville, I think it just feels like a race that's comfortable with who it is.
Right.
And I like that.
Yeah. They do this neat thing too, because it's a small, mining town. I'm sure the actual, permanent residents there, the population's very low.
Yeah.
And so what they do is they give back. They give $2,000 scholarships to every graduating senior that's going on to higher education. So it's pretty cool to see them giving back. What's that?
The race does that?
A $2,000 scholarship, to every graduating high school senior. Yeah, they have like a legacy program that they fund, and so that's really good. You know what I mean? Awesome. Like, I think that's something that we don't maybe see, or it's not promoted in other races.
Yeah, talk about a race that is connected to the city, and I'm not trying to fully transition out of it, but when I think of UTMB, I do think of, like, in as much as you cannot extract the Leadville 100 from the city of Leadville, you cannot extract UTMB from Chamonix. You couldn't extract Sundance from Park City, though they did. Point being, Leadville as a city has embraced all of that. UTMB doesn't feel as comfortable in its own skin as Leadville feels as comfortable in its skin. UTMB always feels like it's fighting. It always feels like it's shaming itself and doesn't feel like it's doing the right things. Whereas Leadville sold out to Lifetime. Everyone's happy. The race goes well. Piss off a few of the insider elite, the inside the beltway elite, if we may, and they seem to be happy. I heard nothing negative come out of all the social, and I really consumed a good bit because I was so pumped on it this weekend.
Right. Yeah, it's fascinating. I always kind of wonder what would have happened if, like, Anton would have stayed healthier and raced more, because he did like Leadville.
Yeah.
And if he would have been, a louder champion, had more results, would he have encouraged that? Would he have bridged the next generation to celebrate Leadville like that?
Yeah.
You had Rob Krar go back there. I mean, you had
Love that.
And again, these are two guys that had short careers.
Yeah.
Within trail running, but in that short time, they used Leadville. You know what I mean? Like, that's fascinating that it didn't bridge over to the next generation of coming up. I
do want to, before we go on to UTMB, talk about Cam and Truett, because I think you and I had some exchange.
We had a quick run of names. We got other names too, but let's hit that. Cam and father, son. Yes, they're both notable, but Cam Hanes and Truett Hanes, out on the course together. Great story. Fun to see.
every parent's dream would be to race their kid in a 100-mile race, talk some trash before, go out, have a good time. Like that was all around pretty cool.
Every parent's dream is to run a Thanksgiving turkey trot 5K with their son or daughter, let alone
Yeah.
a 100-mile mountain race
Yeah.
in Leadville, right? So
Yeah.
let's really just put in perspective here. I mean, that's absolutely, incredible. They both got the silver buckle. So at Leadville, you have to run sub 25 hours to get the silver buckle.
Yeah.
They both get it. I think Truett came in 22:30 and change, and Cam came in 24:04. I mean, that's crazy. He's about an hour and a half off of his younger son. Cam comes in third for his age group for 50 to 59. I mean, just what these, what's in the what's in the
Yeah.
genes,
Yeah.
with the Haynes, pun intended, right? Because Truett ran this thing in jeans. I was waiting for you to come in there.
Yeah,
So.
well, there was also a play on the idea of Hanes, and so I first went to underwear, but that was dumb, so I stayed quiet. But yeah, you teed me up and I whiffed.
Right, but I mean, and it's a bigger point I want to make too, because Goggins just finished. Was it Bigfoot?
Yeah, Bigfoot.
200?
Yep.
Yeah, first time in 5 years back at the ultra community. After basically going through a rough time with his knees.
Yeah.
And you just had a thought, like, these guys don't get really celebrated. At best, they get mocked. They get memed.
Yeah.
Your boy's always on the Goggins and on Cam with different memes that are funny and whatever.
Yeah.
But what I realize is these guys like Goggins and Cam Hanes, they're not here for you and I. We're already living an inspired life. We're already getting out there and getting after it. What Goggins is doing for the rest of the world is something that nobody in trail running is doing as successful and on that same level.
Yeah.
Like Goggins is here for the guy who feels like a loser, who's depressed.
Yes.
He's suicidal, whatever the case is, whatever extreme you want to put on it. Like Goggins is reaching out to people who are in darkness.
Yes.
And you may not like it because you're already in this sport and you don't want it showcased in that way, but like the lives that he's touching, the lives he's saving, the things he's doing for community, society, because he's building up these people is unmatched, and Cam is right there in that same lane. And so we get it wrong when we think they're talking to us. They're not. They're talking to a different group of people.
Yeah, man. And on top of that, they couldn't appear to care any less than they do about what we think about them either, which is also very admirable. And to your point, like the number of people I've met that have been brought into running by David Goggins, they are people, that were on hard times. And so it's what's cool about someone who comes in through Goggins. Maybe they're coming through that depressed or where, we're it's general. Some people aren't, but those who do, they get to go through like this 3-month, 8-month, 4-year period of like like when you first start working out and like you get like crazy gains from those initial workouts. I mean, you're seeing people come.
That's what I've heard.
What's that?
That's what I've heard. Yeah.
Been working out my whole life. These people that are like jumping in and finding success, and in that success finding meaning, and never mind what everybody else thinks. Like, man, it's on that level I celebrate it and applaud it.
Yeah. And this isn't pandering to them because they've got huge followings and, by any means we're trying to like, ride on their coattails.
Yeah.
Like, I'm trying to shake the trail world community, you know what I mean? To like get them to understand what's going on here and find, the good in them, because it's just frustrating to be part of the sport and see so many people miss really what it is that, these guys are representing and who they're actually speaking to.
Yeah.
Yeah. I ran with a guy this weekend and he got into trail running because he's a local born and raised, Arizonian, and he was an outdoorsman. He grew up on some land and tended the ranch and everything like that. And so he was a hunter.
Yeah.
And he got into Cam Hanes, and then he saw Cam Hanes doing ultras, and now he's a huge part of the sport.
Yeah.
Does coaching, and like you would never have known that he came in through Cam Hanes. And it's like, we wouldn't have that guy that I just ran with this weekend if it wasn't for Cam. So nothing but respect and celebration for what they do.
Yeah, man. Yeah. I love it.
Yeah.
Other shout outs we got to get, our boy Sam Losi, who does high tone stuff with Borderlands, came in at just under 25. So he got the belt buckle that you mentioned earlier.
And I do think here I have in my notes, he was first place for GUR attire. I don't think there was anybody else at Leadville wearing the GUR hydration pack. So
Or
he definitely won most stylish um,
here,
runner at Leadville.
here's what's funny is I don't think I've said it out loud before. I think it's Nur. Is the G silent?
I don't know.
Here's what I know is that the designer, his name is Nur, so there's no G there, Nur. And I'm guessing, but yeah, listen, you say it however you want. He was probably the only one on that course wearing that. But then he switched to the on pack, which he was pretty high on. And I think that was his workhorse pack. Apparently that pack is pretty cool. I haven't tried it.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Nice. But big shout out to him. Yeah. And the silver buckle. I think he was actually flip-flopping
with Cam.
Some miles there with Cam.
Yeah.
He finished just like 40 minutes behind him. So I think most of the day they were right within each other.
Yeah, dude, I love that. And then Taylor Bodine, friend of the podcast, also was out there grinding, got the DNF, but man, he was looking good and he's moving. He's fast. I saw he posted about the DNF. I don't know the whole story, but yeah, he crushed it. He was out there running in La Sportiva stuff, so good for him. But big friend of the podcast, homie, Emery Atterbury out there grinding it out, representing my people, coming in at what, 30?
Nope, 29.
29. Yeah.
29, 21. Get it done. Because if you finish over 30, you do not get a buckle. So the 30-hour cutoff is real. He was grinding it out all day and night. Had just huge shout out, to the Hyperlyte family.
Yeah.
Jeremy was there. I saw Hans there. A lot of people showed up for him, and that's just got to be filling the gas tank all day long to see everybody celebrating you out there doing something big and burly.
Yeah.
And then I don't know if you saw the video of the finish line, but basically 1 minute after Emery was Andy Glaze. So pretty cool to see another, big name in trail running coming in and getting it done.
So Emery smoked Andy Glaze. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
Nice. I'll do this. Good job, Emery.
There you go.
Oh, wow. Okay. So we were just pumped on Leadville. This is being billed as a UTMB podcast, so I'll make it to where at the bottom everyone can just jump over Leadville if they don't want Leadville, but I think that was good stuff. Okay, so that's a transition sound, and we are going to jump into UTMB. So let's talk about just from a high level on UTMB, and we make this pivot here. We talked about all the things with Leadville. This is what's fun. We have these good feelings, these good emotions when we connect with it. Now, We've set our part on the things that we haven't loved about UTMB and stuff like that before, but this is a moment that we're just going to take a victory lap for UTMB. When you think about UTMB and it's the good feelings of UTMB, what comes to mind for you?
What comes to mind?
Yeah.
It's the Super Bowl of our sport.
Yeah,
the day where we consider who's the greatest champion at the 100-mile distance, the 100K distance, and the 50K distance. It used to be, kind of like being a Cubs fan, like when are we going to get the World Series? So a lot of my time spent being a fan of UTMB was come on U.S. men, right? Like Tim Tollefson, Zach Miller, Jim Walmsley. So that's immediately what comes to mind.
Yeah.
Are those kind of two storylines for me.
Yeah, for me, just when I think about it, it lives in that place. And it's so funny because I can't think about UTMB without comparing it to Western States. There's something about Western States that feels like the college football national championship, and UTMB feels like the Super Bowl, feels like the World Series. If it's just the general hype, if Western States, and maybe it's a smaller field, it's the old Americana vibes, but UTMB feels like it's the production quality and caliber is unmatched in our sport, and so it just feels like the biggest damn thing out there. And so and it's this perfect mix of it's the course that's one of the hardest, most beautiful courses in the world. So kudos to the organization who took the hardest and most beautiful course in the world and turned it into the race that all of the elites also want to come run at. And regardless of the prize purse that they do offer, and that is significant for the sport, all of those things come together. And it's a real triumph. I think it's ahead of its time in our sport in terms of being able to bring it all together globally. All the best runners are at least eyeing it if they can't make it there every year. And so it just feels, to your point, it just feels legitimately like the biggest thing out there.
Yeah. Yeah, and before Western States had like TrailCon and the Broken Arrow week
Yeah,
with the expos and everybody congregating around, this ski town, it was only UTMB that had that
that did that.
environment where you
Yeah,
would see pictures and videos and it would just be like the whole town is nothing but outdoor endurance runners,
yeah,
and so it felt like, man, I want to go there. You know what I
yep,
mean? Those are my people, and look at the beautiful landscape and the big mountains, you know what I mean? And then, yeah, it's starting to be, they're starting, I think, because of how successful that is, you're starting to see other races try and replicate it with this expo,
yeah,
feeling. And so that also was something that always spoke to me early on, was just seeing how much of the world would come into this small little town and gather.
yeah. Yeah, I don't. I think Western States is what it is. I mean, purely because people were at UTMB saying, "Man, we got to bring this to States. Like States is the place that could handle this." But then I think, how does UTMB get it? And my best guess is that it's in the land of the Tour de France, which is an unmatched endurance sports coverage and celebration. It's like the entire country of France. Every road that those bikes go on are lined 5 deep with people going crazy. France knows and loves endurance, individual endurance sports. Tour de France, team sport. It can be argued, but to the uneducated viewer like myself, it feels like an individual thing. And they know how to celebrate that stuff. They know how to put on those events, and I think UTMB is ultimately an expression of that. So the show is the we and I've only been once, but and you haven't been, and so my point with that is to say you can feel it from not even being there. You can feel like it's palpable from the other side of the world.
No, absolutely. Yeah. So eventually, bucket list thing,
Yeah,
gonna have to save up a few more pennies to get over there.
yeah. Unless you get invited, like unless you go pro.
Yeah.
I hear
Not gonna
Hoka.
happen.
I hear Hoka takes care of their athletes.
Yeah. That's one thing we learned on that interview.
We do have a lot of fun interviews. By the time you hear this, they'll pretty much almost all be recorded. But Lottie Brinks, Allison Baca, Emily Hawgood, Hannah Allgood, Hayden Hawks. There's others, but we got to interview all of them, which was an honor. Like just another part of this, like, we'll go through this here in a little bit, but you look at everybody who's running this race and it's just star after star. And I think they're excited. I think as the sport evolves, that even more podcasts and more media outlets are wanting to spend time with them, especially in America. Like there's media outlets from all over the world that are much more sophisticated and have a lot more years behind them in terms of media coverage of endurance sports. But that these American runners are, getting more calls from these growing American media outlets. They're all pumped to do it. So it's a real love fest.
Yeah, absolutely. It is surprising to be on the other side of it, as a listener versus, having the microphone, and you get like those 3 to 5 minute, warm introductions before we hit record, and
Yeah.
everybody's got a big smile. We're complete strangers, we're coming together because they're running a race that we're interested in.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, their hospitality of us is admiring,
Incredible.
endearing, and yeah, I mean, I just love kind of getting to experience that, with this whole series.
Yeah. 10,000 runners last year, more or less spread across 7 or 8 events. UTMB had 2,300 runners last year. And so just more to add to, like, this is a big show. And I think they said last year or 2 years ago when I was there, I had heard that it was for every one runner, there's 2 crew there with them. So 30,000 people are there just to either run or facilitate the running. And so then on top of that, it's major industry. It is major industry. The number of parties and the number of stuff that, I'm looking forward to being at while I'm there and meetings and stuff. The biggest brands in the world spending absurd amount of money on chalets and stuff like that, to host parties and the runs. Name a brand, big or small, and they have a massive installation. So 70, 80,000 people easily going into this town that's the size of Leadville. Talk about contrast.
Right. And they seem to do it well logistically.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like they've got like this magic touch where they know how to operate logistics and resources. You're not hearing, I don't think, horror stories. Maybe
That's
they're
true.
out there. So somebody correct me if I'm wrong, but you're not hearing horror stories of running out of water. You're not hearing
Yeah.
stories of, not having enough, of the food and offerings within,
Yeah.
whatever aid station they have set up. And so, I know that there's a lot of like natural fresh water on course. You see them always filling up bottles at these kind of just like,
Yeah.
you know,
So romantic.
spigots of water, right? So like, yeah, it seems like there's natural abundance of resources there, but whatever they bring in infrastructure wise, they do it
Yeah.
without missing a beat. It's
The
incredible.
only thing I've heard is that the challenge of crewing. So if you're really trying to get to your crew, even if you do have a car, you know, there's one like tunnel, and that when I was there, that tunnel got closed, and so crews couldn't get to their runners, their elite runners, like their top runners. So maybe that's the biggest challenge. But first world problems, I guess. I mean, elites are counting on it probably as their race plan, but otherwise, yeah, pretty smooth. I mean, it's gargantuan, and what do they call it? I'm blanking on it. The cheese dishes there are unbelievable.
Oh yeah.
And what's great is that everyone's there like can't eat it. So if you're there purely as a spectator, like I was, man, you could get that cheese all day long.
I know that's got to wreck your GI system if you don't eat that way throughout the whole year. And then
Yeah, I've been practicing, so
okay.
I'll be ready when I'm there. I don't currently have a place to sleep. I will be there for 5 days. I've got one night secured thanks to Run the Alps. They have a dormitory downtown and or in the city. And I'm going to interview Doug Mayer because he's released a new book about Tour de France. And I was like, well, I can stay an extra night. I don't have a place to stay that extra night. I didn't tell him I don't have a place to stay any nights, but if I'm going to stay an extra night, and he's like, oh, I've got a place. So speaking of the fond feelings though, which is what we've been doing here, like what are the good feelings about it? The best and what introduced UTMB to me, I think, I just don't have an earlier memory. And that's Billy Yang's documentary. It was 2015. It's possible that was the first I'd really heard about it, or at least gone beneath the surface of knowing that it exists. The documentary, Billy refers to it affectionately as the Nike Boys documentary, but it was just called 2015 UTMB CCC. And man, was that a good documentary. I watched it today. It did the same thing for me, man. I don't know if you remember, Zach Miller has this
awesome rat tail.
You remember? Okay.
Of course, man. Of course.
That's actually your style, kind of.
Yeah.
It was good. I'm actually surprised. I've fancy him this like clean cut Amish country guy. And to see that rat tail, he looked real, he looked cool, you know?
Yeah. That was like the Euro trash mullet back in that time. You know what I mean? It was ahead of its time. Now it's like the cowboy Carhartt mullet out here in the United States. You know, we're always 10 years behind out here.
So the Nike Boys officially are David Laney, Tim Tollefson, Zach Miller, but Sally McRae was on camera a lot for the 2015, 10 years ago. Ryan Gelfie was on camera, which was a surprise to me. I guess that's where I probably first heard his name. Cool to see Joe Grant. Joe Grant's a classic ultra trail runner. He didn't talk, but he was just like in the footage that Billy had got. So it's just, man, it's a romantic throwback to 2015. But it's the first time you see they give a lot of context, and just like Billy happened to be at this year where David Laney got 30 UTMB. So America historically had underperformed. At that point, there'd only been 12 UTMBs. America had underperformed. The men especially had underperformed. And in this one, the three guys that he follows, David Laney got 30 UTMB, Zach got first at CCC, and Tim Tollefson got second at CCC. What a good year to be there.
Oh yeah, the timing was perfect.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, Joe Grant, I mean, he's the best cameo in these ultra docs because he was also there at Unbreakable with Anton. Yeah. So yeah, he's a cameo there as well. So yeah, but I mean, my God, it was like the early PayPal team of like back then. You know, back then these like Tim has gone on to create Mammoth Trail Fest.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He was just an American runner going over there, learning the ropes. And now here he is, running his own mega race that's kind of competing with the format of UTMB. Zach Miller, we all know what he's gone on to do and continues to be a beloved champion of trail running. David Laney's gone on to craft sportwear to actually be like a contributing footwear designer, not just running for them, but I'm pretty sure the way he talks and the way they utilize him, he's above and beyond just being part of their
just wearing the stuff.
Team. Yeah. And then, then Sally McRae, she's got the biggest podcast in running and, going on to do things that are incredible with Nike. So, if you could have bought stock in the, personalities of that documentary, they're the biggest names and faces, of Americans now still today.
Yeah, yeah. Another interesting thought that was surprising. This was back when patriotism was okay, kind of, I think. And like the opening scene, first off, Billy was always so good at like the music that just like made you feel, the explosions in the sky, vibes, like the big swells and the gave you space to have feelings. And then American flag, just like the whole intro. It's like he keeps it long on that UTMB CCC 2015 Mont Blanc American flag just waving for a while. I was surprised to see that. I hadn't seen anything like that in a documentary in a long time in ultra running. Um, if there was one negative, it was that, man, these guys are so nice, and it just made me think. I love our talk with Hayden Hawks. I love where some of the guys are talking trash, but my generation, millennial, I'm a geriatric millennial. My generation ushered in like this niceness and competition. LeBron James being buddies with everybody on and off the court. And man, you hear these guys talk, they are just soft spoken, so nice. It's hard to believe. Can you be a killer on the trail and that nice off the trail? Is one of the two like a persona, or can you just have both? I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, clearly, yeah, you can have both, because I think ultimately, maybe to be an elite athlete at the tip of the spear, you're more competing against your best and the course that day than you are competing against others. And so there's no need to trash talk somebody else isn't value adding, because you're competing you're competing with them as a result of you wanting to go out there first to compete against yourself, if that makes sense.
Yes.
Like, whereas like team sports, like, yeah, you can trash talk because it's this team event type of competition. Like, so, I mean, you could go both ways with it. I mean, I think the sport could have existed in a place where there was a tremendous amount of trash talking and almost animosity between the elites, but it didn't. And, that's fine. I think we can celebrate how it is. But yeah, in a parallel universe, trail running could exist where, there's nothing but in your face, trash talking and flare ups where you got guys shoving each other. Like,
has anyone ever? I've never seen a shove. Now that I think about it, there's never been a shove in a trail race that has made it on camera. At least it's hard to get camera.
Nay, a slanderous word said. Like, I mean, it's a very gentlemanly sport of trail running.
Yeah. Okay, man. It's a good watch. I'll put it in the show notes just for everybody. It's not like you can't find it, but man, it's a good watch to get you pumped. One of the things I think that Billy Yang, so he struck gold with that one and nailed it that year. Then what followed up immediately on YouTube was the Zach documentary, and the length of time it took for him from the initial trailer to the release of it is because I think he was trying to, lightning to strike twice at UTMB. He kept waiting year after year for Zach to get, M1 at UTMB. But that initial coverage, like, just thinking, as Billy Yang, as the place to go to just get more hyped for UTMB, watch that Zach doc, because there's some really, really great UTMB footage the year that I just remember going to bed and Zach, Jim, and Killian were neck and neck, going hard. And so he has awesome footage, like just seeing those guys, like not jogging, man, but they're not sprinting. They're moving so fast, like with really great footage. It's another good get hype for UTMB documentary.
Yeah. Yeah, I definitely think the Americans had to learn how to race with that amount of gear. And through the night.
Yeah. Never thought about it. Those two things. Those are the two things. Yeah.
Yeah. Walmsley, there's this neat interview that's out that just came out, I think, last week.
Okay.
I believe it's the Ultra Sign Up guys, or I'm not quite sure who put it out, but it was at Western States, and Walmsley and Killian are sitting on a couch side by side. For the first time I think I've ever seen them, talk, to each other.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so, yeah, it was a great podcast. You should go look it up again on YouTube. It was Walmsley and Killian, and that's one of the things that Jim talks about is, going over there. He didn't know when to take the poles out. He's fumbling with them. Didn't know how to get through the night, and so just a steep learning curve over there with like actual, equipment type skill sets like American running is just basic running. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like you go out and you run, and there's not a lot of things outside of the act of running other than nutrition and hydration, basically. But
Yeah.
yeah, UTMB seems like it's this major learning curve of trying to then put together these other pieces of gear that are just as critical to your running as your fitness.
Yeah, I never thought about it. I always solely attributed it to, which it is a big deal, like is just the type of mountains that they are over there. But yeah,
Right.
the seeing the pack sizes, even when I did Eco Trail, not a terribly competitive race, though very large race. It was yeah, the pack was heavy. You have to have stuff like I had to have my passport in my pack for some reason. Like you just have so much stuff in there. And yeah, it's just that from a cautious standpoint. And yeah, and you see the packs at UTMB. It's funny to see your great American runners that you're just not used to seeing them look like turtles effectively with all the big shell on the back of all the stuff. So yeah,
Right.
that is an interesting observation. I hadn't thought about that.
Well, and it's interesting too because they have to carry it even through sections that they wouldn't otherwise. And so that's the difference. Like in the States, you'll see them swap a pack for just handhelds because they know they can get to the next aid station and be, taken care of with just handhelds, right? So yeah, it is shocking to see them constantly carrying the same amount of gear from start to finish.
Yeah. Wow. Man, that's
What do you think about this? I wanted to get your thoughts on this. I know I've asked it to you before. Do you think it's worth noting that we haven't had an American male win UTMB yet while training on U.S. soil? In a sense, and this is not to be, too salacious, but it feels like Jim took the path of if you can't beat them, join them,
Yeah.
and uprooted his life and went and lived in France and embraced himself in the training and the mountains, and he got it done,
Yeah.
right? I mean, it proved to get it done, but he didn't do it the American way. He didn't sit here on the U.S. soil and grind it out within our mountain ranges
Right.
and go over there and win.
Yeah.
So do you think it's worth noting and then maybe building that as a storyline? Because it was fun to root for the first American male to win, and now that we don't have that to celebrate anymore,
Yeah.
maybe I'm just kind of
looking for something
grasping
else.
at straws here.
Yeah, I think there's an element of that feels like Americans are we love being the underdogs, and so there's still underdogness left. Jim, is an American in name only. He's over there. He's living. I mean, and what part of me thinks, is that what it takes to win the race? Well, no, I used to think, okay, that's what it takes, but that's just what it took for Jim. And kudos for him. Like what I love about that is that he's willing to do whatever it takes. He wanted that race so bad. So I do love that. But there is still the cowboy in me that wants to see the cowboy just show up there and get it done. Is that possible? Who's our great American hope for that right now? Is it Hayden Hawks? Who is it that trains over here? No, actually, I don't care if they're known or not, but who's the one that can pull that off at the 100-miler? It would be hard because you're going up against the guys that train over there on those mountains. But on the same token, and this is what I said, I think we've talked about in the past, is that can a European, like, does Western States warrant that for the European? Well, not for Tom Evans, who clearly, I mean, he's probably more optimized for the Western States course than he is for UTMB. I think I just want it to be the same both ways. If you want to win Western States, I want you to feel like you have to come live here because it's our unique race. In the end, this is where I'll leave it. I love that there's still an underdog narrative that remains. And so because of that, I'm fully on board with it. So Jim is our first American to win, but he wasn't living in America. I want who's our first male to win who trains in America. I like that.
Yeah. I'm starting to see myself root more for others that I would have never thought of. Like Jim was my guy. I rode with him. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Like I want Jim to win every time he lines up. But
Yeah.
like now, this like kind of like you can kind of like when you listen to the Killian interview with him or you listen to him talk recently, he has this kind of like French accent now. The pace of his phrasing.
Yes.
He kind of stumbles for words like he's, like English is a second language, or he's got this like,
Yes.
language in his mind that he's trying not to have come through. And it's like, Jim, man, your feet were sitting in the river before Western States drinking an American IPA, having fun just,
That's exactly
8 years
where
ago.
I was about to go
And now you are sitting here with like this French accent.
Yes.
I don't know you anymore.
Yeah. What happened? because that's exactly where I was going to go. A little bit drunk. I mean, that interview, he's
Oh, it was
slurring
beautiful.
words. That was not his first IPA. Far from it. And so he's slurring words. He's arrogant, cocky, confident. He's not telling lies in that interview. He's the guy to beat. You got to beat him. You got to be able to keep up with him. He knows that he can keep up with anybody, and then he knows how to crush anybody. Like I loved all that confidence. Maybe UTMB humbled him, but it felt like some of the bravado had been extracted. Too much of it had been extracted. And so because of that, I want someone, I want the person who stands in the river, a couple beers in, I want to still see that person get the win.
Yeah. And I mean, come on. I mean, we all grow up and we all mature, and, some things we grow out of. So that's fine and fair.
Totally.
But like, it's just the French accent now that's starting to like really piss me off a little bit. I still love Jim. He's still one of my favorite guys to watch run.
Yeah.
If I see him in person, I'm still, kind of a fan and enamored by the fact that, hey, there's Jim,
Yes.
our greatest American, trail runner.
Yes.
And, local Arizonian. And so big fan of him. Right.
Yep.
But yeah, again, I think because of that, it's why it irritates me more.
Yeah. We still got, if
it was some East Coast runner, I probably would be indifferent. Like, hey, good for him.
Yeah. Yeah. They're already pretty far gone anyway.
Right. But could you imagine Prefontaine with some sort of French accent? I mean, I just, we want our heroes proudly American.
Yeah. We still need that classic American hero. I'm with you. And that's fun. It gives us something fun to root for. We'll get to the field here in a minute, but I first want to talk a little bit about Fabrice Perrin, our interview with him last week. He responded to, we don't have to spend a ton of time on this, but I do think it's worth the time of a response because he gave us his time. I first want to say, as I said in the podcast, kudos to Fabrice for coming to our podcast where we were critical of the fee that they're going to be charging next year. You, in your classic Wolfie fashion, were able to say it clearly in as few words as possible what your issue was with it. And then he comes on, and my goal was not to debate, not to push. I'm not a on-microphone debater. I could be a great debater when it comes to typing and written word, but I just wanted to build a bridge to UTMB, give him a chance to talk, and be hospitable to him as a host. Those are my values in that, and I think I accomplished it. But my key takeaway was that everyone who reached out to me either was indifferent or hated it. No one was like, okay, I love it. Like, I'm all in. Now, that could be audience bias. I mean, it absolutely is. This is our audience. They know how we felt about it. They liked it. They like us. Maybe they think like us. Some don't. Not everybody does. Sam Losey didn't, who was on the podcast. So in the end, you listened to the podcast. Did you have any takeaways?
No, I mean, first off, just, we can kind of really just acknowledge the fact that that's a landmark moment for the podcast.
Yeah.
That you've got somebody in a position of authority there with an organization as big as UTMB wanting to reach out and, use the platform to speak about it. I mean, I love that.
Yes.
I mean, that's what we're here for. And that's what we're always encouraging from, people that we either disagree with or who they disagree with us. And so I thought you did well with, like you said, allowing him to speak, not challenging certain things, but just bringing up concerns. You brought up concerns to allow him to continue to provide feedback. And the more we get people to talk, the better we can understand, the place, the intent, and the spirit of it. And so I thought it was a very valuable conversation. Some of the things that lasted with me was just, again, it's the embracing of, saying that this is scientifically proven. You know what I mean? There were some certain types of, phrasing of things that, I do think globally, culturally, there's still two camps that are deciding what this whole carbon footprint and carbon impact even means, and how to interpret it. And so they're choosing to interpret it one way and take the science that, supports that and embrace it as factual. And, they're leaning into it 100%.
Yes.
And secondly, I thought this clearly speaks to the fact that Ironman does not have the loudest voice at the table for UTMB. This does not sound like anything Ironman would have been championing.
Yeah.
It sounds like if Ironman had the ability to do like a presidential veto, they would have done that around this sort of issue.
Yeah.
And so I think for a lot of the concerns where people were saying, oh, Ironman's going to do this and do that and ruin it, and they're just going to have full run of everything. Well, take this as a a nice cautionary pause
Yeah.
to say, no, it sounds like UTMB still has very much control over the direction and the narrative and, everything else around how things are being delivered around UTMB's race series.
Yeah, and in my preparation for that episode, what I had learned, something I didn't know, and maybe many of you already knew, is that yes, Ironman has invested. Ironman has also been invested in by a much larger private equity group. So then Ironman invested into UTMB. However, I already knew this. Ironman is not the majority shareholder. However, they appear to only be on board to be an executor. They are there to execute events. Their expertise that they brought to the table is we know how to put on big events, combine them with expos, all the stuff that we were praising earlier. That stuff is what it is and is growing in its impact because of UTMB's influence. Then it's my understanding UTMB outright owns some of the races that are UTMB races, branded races, but UTMB also still owns another set of races. So in the end, you're right. I mean, this is a glimpse into UTMB. People tend to, when they don't like something, they want to say, oh, this is because of Ironman. But there's a reality here of UTMB is still calling the shots. This is still their thing. And it would be interesting to see if we could go up the flagpole at Ironman, though I don't know that they would give us the time of day or even want to on this, but to say, how do you feel about this? Do you want this? Is this something that you support? Does it even matter? Did they even ask you? Probably not. But anyway, good point. That's actually, I like the optimism of that take for so many, like it or not, UTMB is calling their own shots.
Right. Yeah. And then, I mean, again, like this is something where it's, I guess, a pilot program. So it's only going to be at the Chamonix event, not the rest of the series to start with. They might see success out of it and roll it out to these other events. But the other thing I didn't like, again, I guess the way that it's being instituted is on a scale of like how great your calculated impact is. That's how high your taxed fee is. And so because the states travel the furthest, the United States is going to have the biggest, tax carbon offset fee. So there's a direct correlation, I think, between like, the French are sitting here and, charging a higher penalty, imposing a higher penalty on any American that travels over to that race. But again, America comes from, as a country, like we socially embrace, this carbon awareness and doing things to, run business and run economy and live in a, sustainable or offsetting manner, much better than China, India, these other countries that don't have that kind of developed infrastructure.
Right.
So again, it just seems like it's completely illogical or just rewarding the wrong behaviors and punishing the wrong ones as well. Like it doesn't make sense that the United States should be carrying the biggest imposed tax penalty on this. Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
It doesn't make sense to me again.
At one point, I feel like I teed up a question for him. In retrospect, it felt like a great service to him to say, hey, what do you think about the people who disagree with you though? Like you got to you know how many people don't like this and disagree with you? Like why wade into these waters? Why is this the hill to die on?
Yeah, and his response was back to what I said, as far as like he said, well, okay, well, welcome to talk. We can, he was very kind and gracious in that he was saying he had the answers. Like if you just, if you're disagreeing with me, just come look at what I'm looking at.
Right.
Like he's coming from a place where he thinks that he's got some sort of, arithmetic book that shows 2 + 2 is 4, and we just need to look at how simple math is.
Yeah.
And I guess, when you come to a place where that's how it is, spiritually and, intellectually to you, then when somebody tells you they disagree, you're very confounded with it. And you think, okay, well, let me just show you.
Yeah.
It's like, but I've seen that.
Right.
I still disagree.
Yeah. Yeah. I think, Colby Sharp made a comment on one of the posts and just said, hey, I'd love to know, Josh, what you think. Because in the podcast, I was saying, this is not my point. I'm not looking to litigate this. I'm just saying, we know that people do disagree with this. And but by very nature of this, runners are having a conversation about climate impact. And to me, that's not a triumph. That's a failure. Like, I want to get away from all of that stuff. That's why I'm in where I'm at right now. I didn't start a political podcast. I didn't start an environmental podcast. I didn't start a religious podcast. I started running because the power of running is to set all of those things aside And I know that by the very nature of my take on that, that a lot of people are livid because our generation, especially millennials, geriatric millennials, have conflated social causes. Like you have to mix social impact and social cause into absolutely everything. If you don't have some social impact to it, if you don't have a social cause you connect your business to, all these sort of things, like consumers want you to be connected into social stuff. I would be fine with that. I would be so fine consuming from someone who completely disagreed with my religion, my politics, in as much as they're staying quiet about those things and not oppressing mine. So UTMB to be just a celebration of running. And if they wanted to say, hey, we have this core conviction and it's about carbon, and so we're going to write the check. Look at this check that we're writing. Great. That's different than saying you need to add more money to it because you're further away. That to me just, and the cop out saying, well, you need to understand your footprint. To me, that feels like a cop out. That's a way of you not having to write the check.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's, again, I think, yeah, they picked something that is a bit controversial and going to divide opinion.
Yeah.
And then they further compounded the issue by just the way that they rolled it out, I think. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So like it's just like they stubbed their toe and then they cut it off. Like it's just they didn't do really much right with it. You know what I mean? And it just seemed like it was kind of obvious that you could have predicted that this would have been somewhat of the case, and then easily preventable, because like you said, yeah, you could have just raised the fees by a small amount and wrote the check yourself.
No one would have judged that.
Yeah. It's interesting, but I mean, again, they're not an institution, an organization without controversy. You know, the way that they orchestrated the Whistler event with UTMB. You know, unfortunately, they do have a reputation where a lot of us are left scratching our heads. You know, wondering why or how and what.
Oh man. Okay, so if we just gave UTMB an out to say, hey, UTMB, you make your own decisions. It's not Ironman. Ironman got scapegoated, in my opinion, on the Whistler stuff. So if we're saying
100%,
UTMB gets to make its own choices, UTMB did that. Right. They made.
And again, I was on the other side of the fence where I said, you know, I was more gracious to UTMB and Ironman and saying like, well, that's business. You know what I mean? And then the other side of the community was saying, this is atrocious. You've, you know, pulled the rug out from underneath somebody beloved within the community, you know? And so, you know, again, they failed at that one because they upset people.
Yeah.
And then here they are doing this one, and, you know, maybe the tables are turned on who feels what.
Yeah.
Same thing.
Yeah, and one move has a negative impact on carbon footprint just by adding another race. They've added another race by its very existence, has a negative impact on it. And then this other one over here you're having to pay. So I feel like even that has some multiple personality disorder. Like this is in general what I would say is it feels like multiple personality. You have this thing pulling and saying we want capitalistic growth. But what we'd really love is our capitalistic growth with the outcome of net zero or degrowth. And it's not like they're like, oh, should we be this? Should we be that? They're like, they're positioning both. We're positioning capitalistic growth and we're positioning net zero values. And those are just at odds. I don't know how those end up getting reconciled, other than in the end, when the race starts in a couple of weeks, for me, all that gets turned off. And I think they just know that. I'm just pumped on the race. It is the Super Bowl. Like the greatness of the race and the athletes who choose to run there can quiet all of that controversy down for me.
100%. Yep. So, and that's, exactly. That's the beauty of sport is whether, like, that's why the Olympics were so great,
that's
right?
Exactly
like,
where I was going to. Great.
Yeah. There's wars going on, whatever the case is, you know, in theory, you know, propaganda aside and everything else that, you know, is corruptible about the Olympics.
Yeah.
That was the spirit of it, was to say, no matter what's going on, here's some unity, you know, we're all just humans at the end of the day. Coming out to compete.
And maybe we're all humans with too much time on our hands to be able to even talk about this stuff, whatever. But at the same time, we've got some time to think about this. And if they're making bad decisions, it's important to be vocal. So both of those things.
So my take on it, like, I want to get it on recording. I don't think this will stick. I don't think this will spread beyond Chamonix. You know, so if you look at maybe 3 years from now, maybe you do see that this is being instituted in a way that looks different than how it is now. I don't think this is the model that wins out for how they want to handle runners being taxed, a carbon offset, or being responsible to offset their their carbon. So we'll see
Yeah,
how that ages.
and as a business, it's very. This will be my final point here: is that you are highly risked by not even being the one to spend the money yourself. You're passing it off to a third party NGO and saying what we're giving it to them. They do good stuff. Now you're entirely exposed. Your whole reputation on this thing is now exposed by how they manage the money that's given to them. And they do something that mismanages it. And that's a much bigger impact. I'd rather see them spend the money themselves. But to your point, it'll be interesting to watch to see if it spreads to the other events or it doesn't, like it is the pilot program.
Yeah.
Okay.
Maybe if we rejoin the what is it, the Paris Accords, or what is it?
The Climate Accords?
What's that?
The Paris Climate Accords, where I sit.
Yeah, maybe the United States, they're no longer a part of it, right?
I don't think so.
Yes, maybe if we rejoin, we'll no longer have to pay a higher carbon offset tax. Maybe that's what this is all about.
Maybe. All right, let's have some fun. Now we're going to talk about the race itself. Okay, so I got some stats here pulled up just to bring everybody up to speed, helpful for myself as well. UTMB has a bunch of events. The main event, called UTMB, 174 kilometers. That's 108 miles. It's 32,480 up, 32,480 down. CCC is the 100K, 20,000 up, 20,000 down. TDS, 145K, which is 90 miles. 30,000 up, 30,000 down. My goodness. OCC is the 55K, so that's 34 miles, 11,200. That is Speed Goat. That is almost precisely Speed Goat. Then you got PTL, which is hard, but I mean, unless you're in it, you're probably not paying attention. Then some others, MCC, ETC, YCC. They've done a good job of branding a bunch of things, but we're here for UTMB, CCC, and more than ever, OCC, right?
Absolutely.
So,
and that's what I think what makes this, such a celebratory week, and the magnitude of it, of why something like Leadville can get overshadowed, because it's not just one race, it's three races that are of world championship quality, of depth of field, globally. So it's not just like it's the best of France there, or the best of the United States. Like every country, every nation is bringing, somebody within their top 5, top 3, probably, if not their best, to these races. And so super fun, super exciting.
Yeah. And I think one of the things that they've done really well here that you've seen Cocodona take a stab at is that within one race, you give each distance its own brand. So I don't remember what it's called, but Cocodona has the 120 mile, this Einhorn. Sedona. Yeah. So which is really cool, and it gives each its own identity. And let's start with the 50K. OCC 55K.
I don't think nobody of note is running that one, right? No big names.
I am looking. It's one of the ones that, I mean, apologies if someone's listening to this and like their all-time favorite runner is doing it. I see an American.
Well, I mean, I was being tongue in cheek. I mean, it's fascinating that we get to watch Jim Walmsley run that.
Why is he not on the list here?
He's at the very bottom because he doesn't have like a 50K.
He doesn't have the right score for that.
Yeah, exactly. They got it sorted real wonky.
Dang. So okay, that's really funny. Okay, that's what I was thinking. I was expecting to see Jim, and then I couldn't see him. But so you've got Jim and Adam Peterman both just thrown to the bottom.
Yeah, there's another one, I think, from an international that's thrown at the bottom. I thought that was a pretty big name, but I could be wrong. But yeah, because of the injuries, and then because he's prioritizing the world championships, he doesn't want to go out there and burn too many matches at UTMB, the full distance. And so we get to see Jim run UTMB at the 55K distance. This will be super exciting, and kind of throwback to when he used to run races like this.
Yeah.
He ran Speed Goat, he ran JFK. So yeah, I'm super intrigued now, more so than ever, to see what he does on that course.
A fun podcast, which we'll get to at some point, and we can go in deeper on that, is what does that say that he's prioritizing the world championships? That's interesting. Okay. I love that. Hannes Naumburger.
I think it's just because I think he needed a little bit longer on ramp for UTMB fitness after state. So I think it was just the perfect timing and series of events. I don't think this would have happened otherwise.
Yeah. So names that I recognize that have just been thrown to the bottom is Hannes Naumburger.
That's who it was. Yeah. Another Western States guy.
Yeah. Fascinating. Okay. So I'm just going to he's my pick. He's got to be my pick. American
Who,
in
Jim?
name only.
Yeah.
On the women's side for OCC, let's take a look here. Hannah Allgood. Got to get a shout out to Hannah because she was on the podcast. She's not by the time you listen to this, we've already recorded it. She's awesome. So I root with my heart. I would love to see her get the W because it'd be fun to say we
Yeah.
interviewed her.
Well, it's also fun to see, her return to a distance that, she made her entry into the sport with, and then kind of fun to see you take the fitness from Western States and bring it down to a race that's as fast and taxing as a 55K.
Yeah.
So you usually see people do the States UTMB double with like, States and OCC, right? Or no, CCC, sorry.
Yeah.
States and CCC, not this one. So it'll be fascinating to see how that kind of parlays out.
And she'll have her work cut out for her to be top American female, even with Sophia Lockley, who went to the University of Utah, skied there. She crushes it, of course, in Golden Trail and just all around.
Tabor in that one too, right?
Really?
Tabor Hemming?
Let's see. I'm looking.
I'm pretty sure she's lining up there as well. It's going to be a loaded field.
Not showing up in this top one here, but if you create websites and you want a good example of how to not create something, go to this page and search runners that you want to find. It's not that easy. Jasmine Lowther will be exciting. Arc'teryx runner. Yeah, so that's the OCC. Again, at the beginning, I didn't say this was going to be your definitive guide. This was going to be a hype show.
Yeah. They have a ton. I mean, some of the international women like that come from the Golden Trail series. I mean, you've got Judith Wilder, Miao Yao, Sarah Alonso. I mean, these are all names that I'm familiar with just from my cursory, fandom. Maud Mathis. I mean, this field is loaded with a lot of international talent. Sarah LaRouche. Yeah, I mean, it's Jasmine Lowther. I mean, my goodness. Yeah, there are names on names over here. So, yeah.
And what's fun, what I like is, they're coming over from Golden Trail. You're used to seeing them compete in that context. I don't know how to explain it. Like, it's this feeling that you get when someone plays for their club team and then all of a sudden they're playing World Cup soccer or something. Like, they're kind of in this different context, but they're amazing. Right. So it'll be fun to see them just go hard in this context.
Gotcha.
All right. That's OCC men and women. Let's take a look at the highlights here on the CCC women. Norda runner Anna Tarasova. She's at the top
heater
of the list
this year, man.
What's that?
Winning everything.
Yeah. That's going to be hard. We got Lottie Brinks who's going to be competing. And that's interesting to see. This hasn't crossed my mind. When I think of Lottie Brinks, she's from Germany, but it says USA by her name. And I know that she's been in the USA for a long time. I believe married an American man. But she represents U.S. at this level. That's cool.
Yeah, this is where Tabor's at. So Tabor's going up in distance to run CCC.
Yeah.
But then, I mean, it's all the familiar American female names. And you got Danny Marino. You've got Allison Baca. And you've got, where was the other one? Amanda Basham. So,
oh, really?
Yeah.
Gosh.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's just crazy. It's top to bottom names that are recognizable. I like Tony McCann a lot out of South Africa. I can't remember if she won it last year or recently, but then Blondine Hirondelle is a crusher. She's running for Kiprun, which is just interesting to make note of Kiprun as a brand. Like, they're the Decathlon. Decathlon's the largest sports retailer in the world, 1,700 locations globally. But they're making a push into running, and so they landed someone there who can absolutely podium, which is interesting. Yeah, impressive list.
Yeah, it's a deep field though. You got Fu Zhao Zhang. I mean, she's another one. I think she caught. She's done well at Western States and UTMB.
Yeah,
so
she's a blast to watch. Allison Baca on the podcast. Stoked to have her join us. All right, for the men, though, Francesco Pupi, no one's going to beat that guy. That's going to be real hard.
Yeah, we can just stop there. It seems like, right?
I
It's
know.
like you say Francesco and it's game over.
Yeah. But I would love to see my dude Anthony Casales. I mean, I say my dude like I've talked to him before, but he's a Salt Lake guy at this point. But he's also from this random group of Chico State guys who are crushers like Tim Tollefson, Jimmy Elam, Anthony Casales. But Anthony Casales was on the 6th episode I ever did of this podcast, which was really cool. But he's the one who ran Western States M1. Caleb Olson ran him to victory. So I'm excited to see him in there. Drew Holman will be a blast. Gosh.
Yeah, I say watch out for that Jesh run. I mean, that guy's a killer.
Yeah.
He's also leveling, distancing up a bit. So, and then you got Eric LaPuma. He was another Worlds team member. So, and then Eli Hemming. So it'll be interesting to see it's always fun to see what they do together as a couple. Eli and Tabor, they enter races, this together, and they usually win together, or at least podium. So it's crazy.
Oh, nice to see David Sinclair on there. Oh, Dan Green. Forgot. Dan Green's running CCC. That's just fun.
Silver. Wait, I thought he was. Yeah, I know him as the Silver Bullet.
Yeah, that's. I was looking for silver. I kept looking. I didn't know if I looked for the or silver, but he's there as Dan.
They don't even have him updated with Solomon yet. He's just blanked out with his sponsor. So can we get somebody to update that, please?
Yes, please. That's fun. He might be joining us. I think he's just following him on Instagram. Seems like he's just having the time of his life over there.
Yeah, he's just chasing everybody on the Solomon team around. I see him and Lucy Bartholomew a lot.
Gosh. Yeah, but Francesco, man, that's going to be hard.
Yeah.
All right.
Big one.
UTMB women. My goodness. I don't know. God, if you prioritize, this is where it's hard to prioritize Leadville. If you're like competitor of competitors, because you look at this, and man, how do you miss out on this? If you're looking to prove yourself as the best, you can scroll this whole list and maybe see 3 or 4 names that you don't know.
Right.
Courtney DeWalter racing UTMB just feels good to say. Like you see that name there and it just doesn't even feel real. Maybe it's also because she hasn't been in the Zeitgeist as much lately.
Right. Which is, more reason to really celebrate and appreciate getting her, at this race event. And it'll be fun to see her square off against
Abby Hall
and Ruth Croft, Emily Hawgood. I mean, you just look at those first 5 names and they're all, household names at, the podiums of the biggest races.
Gosh. I mean, it's fun. Emily will be on the podcast. It's fun to see her name on there. I mean, she had a great. I didn't actually watch it when I was doing the research this morning. Billy Yang, I guess, just recently released a doc with her. I haven't watched yet. I'm excited to watch. But Emily has won CCC, upgrading to UTMB. But yeah, Courtney, Abby, Ruth Croft, Emily Hawgood, Heather Jackson, Lynn Shin. Like it's just absurd.
So I got to give a special shout out here. This is just awesome. It's like you've got down here Lindsay Dwyer, and she's running with San Francisco Running Company. So like you see everybody else with like household, shoe deals, and then you got San Francisco Running Company. Like that is, I love that.
Well, and Lucy Bartholomew on here, not getting a sponsor, but is she Solomon? I've only assumed she's Solomon because she's been running with Dan so much. Is she unsponsored?
I don't know.
Huh.
I guess you can't put too much credit into any of this.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's always cool to see names, on here that you haven't seen, in a while.
Yeah. I mean, it's Courtney's to lose. It's Courtney versus the field. Who are you taking?
I mean, I guess I think maybe she's becoming more vulnerable.
Just from age.
Yeah. I mean, we'll see. I mean, yeah, it's clearly hers. I mean, look at her. You look at her UTMB index rating, it's levels above.
It's crazy.
Everybody else,
Yep.
It's 844, and the next 2 are 792, 787. So it just shows you the drop off there.
Yep.
But I think Ruth Croft, is going to give her every bit that she can handle.
Yeah.
It's just a matter of what fitness is Courtney bringing in, and same with Ruth. So
yeah, and you look at the top field. Adidas Terex has a ton of athletes up there.
Right.
Yeah, boy, that's going to be good. All right, let's take a look over here at the men. Gosh, Jeff Mogavero. I'm just going to read these in orders. I'm going to go until I don't know a name. Jeff Mogavero, Ben Diamond, Dan Jones, Ludovic Pomeray, Tom Evans, Rod Farvard, Jermaine Grandier. I mean, Ludovic and Jermaine coming off Hard Rock. There's no way. There's no way they're going to do anything great here. Hayden Hawks. I don't know Jean-Philippe Schumi, but then we're at Jonathan Albin. Now there's some names I don't know.
Yep. And Francois coming off the 14ers. Yeah.
It's pulling out
Christian
the legacy.
Meyer.
It's pulling out the legacy people. Like, because you got Tom Evans in here. I mean, Tom Evans not quite legacy like Francois Dane is, of course, with his number of wins he has here. But it's, man, you love to see Francois and Courtney on here. Another one. Okay, Solomon just must have issues with UTMB because Francois Dane is also a Solomon athlete and not noted on the list here.
Interesting. We have to dig into that. Is there some bad blood there between?
There might be.
You got to shout out Stephen Kirsch. He's down there at the bottom of the list. But anytime you got a former Coconino Cowboy, you got to give him a shout out, man. I loved watching him run and race. Those late 2010 Western States and Golden Ticket races.
Yeah. Dakota Jones. Nice to see him still going. Still great UTMB index, 890.
Yeah. So, I mean, this one feels more wide open just because you don't have, Jim.
Yeah.
You don't have Killian. Francois typically would have been then the premier pick, but he's kind of stepped, back from the spotlight a little bit these last couple of years. But what he did apparently at Nolan's, which I don't have any contextual understanding of what that is, but it's being celebrated as, based on that result, he should be considered a threat for the victory here.
Awesome.
Yeah, but who do you like here? I mean, it's kind of a wide open field, I feel like.
I think Hayden still needs like one last accolade to cement his greatness. And my heart wants Hayden. A lot of Americans at the top. It's in terms of at least like, let's say like the top 10, the most flags on there is American, which is crazy. Shows some overall progress, but means nothing until actual race day. I think Tom Evans seems to be able to pull speedy things off, and this ain't too speedy, but he's had a great result, a good result here before. I don't know. Do you know much about Jeff Mogavero?
No, I mean, other than what he's done, in these last 24 months that put him on the map, for everyone. So,
does experience always win out? Like at the intersection of experience and still being fit? If so, Francois. No way Ludovic's going to be top 20 of this thing. No way.
Top 20? I think that's a lock.
You think? I mean, coming off Hard Rock and, he's older than us.
It doesn't matter, man. Apparently in French, Ludo Pomeric means doesn't age.
Does not age.
Yeah.
You think Rod?
But I think I got to go with I think Ben Demon and Hayden, are going to be there late. I'm just hoping that Hayden's fully, physically fit, and
I know I want that.
The body's in a position to be durable enough to withstand what he's going to throw at it. Because I know he's going to throw a ton at it. So if it can hold up, I love his chances to see it all the way through. And I mean, I'm proudly American, so like I'm not looking at names that don't have the stars and stripes. So.
Yeah. Ooh. Rod Farvard, I tend to just think of him as a speedy desert guy. I don't know if that's just where the first place I saw him was speedy in the desert, but also Western States by comparison is a speedy desert race. So
I mean, I you know what I would love? I'd love to see the Americans sweep the podium. You've seen France do that. So it's not like I'm saying anything too
good point. That's
controversial or
for Hard Rock.
Yeah, exactly. Like let's go sweep the podium.
Okay. Then how about this just for fun? We're gonna just say if it were to be an American podium, who are the three that would be the American podium? So this is purely fun. We're not saying it's going to be this necessarily, but if it were, who would it be?
Yeah, it's definitely 3 of those top 4, so I would probably say I don't think Ben counts because Ben doesn't live in the United
No,
States at all,
no.
right?
Yep.
Like he might
He's
as well
French.
be, I think, French, right? I
Yep.
think, yeah.
We're trying to
So,
get him on our French language Borderlands
okay,
podcast.
yeah. So, I mean, I have to discount him in a sense, like from how I want the podium to be represented, because that gives the French a little bit of a claim. So it's going to be Mogavero, Farvard, and Hayden, not in that order,
Yeah.
but I would say those 3.
Okay, because I always vote with my heart. We know that. I want to see Dakota. I want to see him up there. I don't know if it's whatever. I'm just saying I
He's
want
going
to
to race like that.
What's that?
He's going to be up there. He's going to race that way.
Yes.
That guy front runs everything.
Yes.
It's insane.
I love it. I love the way he races. He races like an American. It's great. So, yeah, in no order, Hayden, Dakota. Gosh, let's go Rod. Let's go. Let's go Rod. Those are my 3. Let's see how that plays out.
It's going to be awesome.
I know.
Even if just any of the Americans pull it out, you know what I mean? Like we forget that, like, before Jim, we didn't have anybody. So
good.
It looks like we have a good chance this year.
Yep. So we have a shirt. That shirt, we're pretty stoked on it. It made me laugh. We concepted it a long time ago. We set it in motion, and I laughed back then. And then it was just business getting that thing together. I've done a lot of shirts in my life, including this one from 2012. Like this is a naturally, like you can see my skin through it at this point because it's so worn. I love my shirts. And then I had a hard time putting this together. Screen printer problems. It's about to come out. It says we're calling it the Trail Media Zeitgeist. And I'll let you decide which came first, the saying or the 3 letters at the beginning of that, each word of that saying, TMZ.
Right. I mean, I don't know. It's a mystery.
Yeah.
It's kind of like the how many licks does it take to get to the center of a Tootsie Roll Pop? I guess we'll never know.
Yeah. Are we the TMZ of trail running? We're not saying that. In fact, from a licensing standpoint, there's no way. In fact, we regret that TMZ even came out in this. We are the Trail Media Zeitgeist. We are speaking to
Correct.
it. Ideally, we're creating it. If you go to the link in the show notes, you can click on it. It'll say shirt, and you can get the shirt if you use the discount code BRTMZ, Bad Runners Take Media Zeitgeist, BRTMZ, 20% off. We did a short run of 50 of those. We'd love to see them all go out. You buy that not only to rock the Bad Runners Take vibe, but also supports the show. So we'd love for you guys to do that. Wolfie his shirt, got some fun photos of that. They'll be coming out too. Any thoughts on the shirt?
No, I love the shirt.
Me too.
I sent you the kind of the sample shirt that I liked the cotton blend, the weight of it, and you nailed it with that. I love the color. The color kind of speaks to both our Arizona and so like northern Arizona, Utah border, that red clay.
Yep.
When you wash and dry it, it kind of has this really, really like earthy, just color tone to it. I don't know if the pictures show it, so you'll be pleasantly surprised when you see it in person.
Nice.
The all-seeing eye, I love that. Kind of represents that. We're here to see all opinions. Here to speak about all events and really just cover the sport as holistically as possible. So I love, that all-seeing eye above it.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, it's a fun shirt. Rock it in the wild. Tag us, tag me. I want to, just be a part of, celebrating the first shirt that I've, helped make and get out there for you guys.
Nice. I'm an old punk rock kid, man. I used to screen print my own shirts, making shirts since 96.
Yeah.
But this one,
we thought about doing like a, like a service to have me wolfify yours, but I want you guys to do your own.
Oh.
You know what I mean? Like that's part of like,
that's
I can
what you're
do it
doing
for
is
you, but-
it is your own unique self-expression.
Exactly. You decide what you want to do. So, but if you need tips, suggestions, just hit me up. I'm sure we can figure out something. So it's fun.
I'm pumped. You'll be hearing a lot about this shirt. We want to get it out there. This is a test balloon to see how it goes because we'd love the excuse to do more. But now let's see how you all respond.
Oh, and just real quick on sizing.
Yes.
Again, if you're sizing it and you want it to be, more of an athletic slim fit, size down. I got a medium, which is typically what I would wear in like a Satisfy cotton shirt or any other shirt. And it was a little bit oversized for me. So I just want to give you guys heads up. But if you like kind of that boxy, kind of just a bit oversized, then go true to size. And buy two, buy one for the office that you don't cut up, and buy one to shred and, have fun with. So no limits.
Yes. All right. It's that time.
That's 786-667-3649. Hyperlyte Hotline.
It's the Hyperlyte Hotline. We've already talked about him. The dude, Emery, crushing Leadville. So happy for him. So proud of him. Really am. You go after these big things, and so you get to be at a loss for words. But when you see somebody that you admire go big, you just feel proud. So, Brian, here we are. Let's take our first call.
Let's jump into it, man.
Hey guys, I was just curious your thoughts on stage racing and running, kind of similar to cycling. I know it's not possible maybe to do like a Tour de France style running event, but how sick would it be to have like a marathon, then the next day, same group of runners, fastest mile, maybe like a rest day, and then close it out with like, 100K. I don't know. UTMB and all their different distances has kind of got me thinking about that. Anyway, would love to hear your thoughts.
Yeah, thanks for the call, Brian.
I love it. There's a the Trans Rockies is like a stage race event where you do it with a partner.
Mm-hmm.
I think Rob Krar's gone out there. You had the Puzzi brothers do it one year. Yeah. I just don't think it. Again, I think it's just like prioritizing the media coverage around it. And for whatever reason, like stage races haven't caught the imagination or the interest of, podcast or live streams. But I think it would work. Again, I think it would work. I think it would be a good way to bridge kind of the contrived nature of the format, but make it visually exciting and have a good storyline that you could quickly turn around, content and get people excited to want to tune in the next day and watch it. I love it. I would love to participate in something like that. I think that would be fun because you're going full gas. It's not like you're pacing yourself, through the first stage.
I think that's a really fun idea. If 3 to 5 days and you get to do the speed trial, there's there's a super long distance, there's the 10K, like all that stuff in there, but you're resting in between, taking care of yourself. Not like the one that's in Morocco,
Marathon des Sables.
Yeah, Marathon des Sables, where you're running, you have to have all your own stuff, and then you're like hunkered down in your own, and you have to carry everything you need for those 6 days. That's not what I'm interested in. But the Tour de France style, where you watch those documentaries, they're having champagne at night, like they're going hard during the day, and then they're doing everything they can to recover and be prepared for the next day, including drinking champagne, I guess. So I love that idea as a foot race. Yeah. That'd be a blast of a documentary. Also, talk about variety in a documentary.
Right. I think I'd rather do that than Cocodona, and Cocodona takes about the same amount of time.
Yeah,
or
good point. Me too.
Out, if I was going to go do Cocodona, I'd have to take a week off of work, and something like this would probably take the same amount of time. Thursday, Friday through the weekend or something. So
sleep in a bed each night.
Yeah,
I like that.
I think Nick Bear would probably be the guy to put it on too.
Ooh.
You know what I mean? Like just the way you see him know how to put hospitality around an event where you've got to really cater to runners. He's knocking out of the park. I just had this, just to go on a side tangent. Like I was thinking about it, like when you saw like the hospitality and spread at that Go One More event, it looked elevated to a level where like, that's what you would expect with the rising cost of fees and other events.
Oh yeah.
And so, just kind of got my head thinking, maybe he's the guy to do this. We'll pitch it to him.
Yeah, I love it. Yeah. Nick, be on the lookout for our call.
Yeah.
All right.
Hey guys, this is Alex. Second time caller, long time listener. Always love what you guys are doing. I guess just the thought I had while I was on my run today was about the basketball USA dream team that consisted of Michael Jordan and all the best players at the time in the 90s. Just curious what your guys' thoughts are for kind of in our dream team moment for our world's trail running US team. I mean, we got the likes of guys like Jim Walmsley, obviously Zach Miller, Taylor Volker, and Adam Peterman. on the men's side for the long trail, and then we got women like Katie Stride, Jen Lichter, Allison Baca. And then you keep going down the list. Short trail team, David Sinclair, Eli Hemming, Seth Ruling. I mean, I'm leaving out a lot of really, really good runners, so apologize. Don't take offense to that. Short trail women, I mean, Helen Neal Faulkner, Jason Murphy, Saber Hemming. I mean, the list goes on and on. We may be in our 90s dream team era of our U.S. World Trail Running team, and we may not even know it. So let's enjoy it while it's here, and I'm hoping they wear some 90s throwback kind of, tops and bottoms that would represent maybe a little bit of a throwback to colors and things like that. But we'll see. The kit will probably be weird. But, yeah, all is well. Thank you, guys. Take care. Happy trails.
He's right.
Yeah.
I'm looking at it now.
That was a sick call there, Alex.
Dude. Yeah, thanks, Alex. So, God, Jim Walmsley, Tyler Green, Zach Miller, Caleb Olson, Adam Peterman. Apologies, Trace and Knopp. I don't know you, but now I do. That Jim, Tyler, Zach, Caleb, Adam. My gosh, that is a blast. And Katie, Allison Baca, and that's exciting. I mean, David Sinclair, Eli Hemming, Seth Ruling. He already did all that. He named them all. Christian Allen doing the vertical K. Good Lord, that's a blast. Yeah. Perfect call.
Yeah. Yeah. It's super thrilling. Yeah. I mean, a lot of names out there that have a good legacy within the sport or are making their legacy in the sport. So yeah, it's just like the Dream Team, because the Dream Team had that mix of generational talent, which is always fun.
Yeah. I don't know how to pronounce the city that the Worlds are in. But it's not terribly far from me in Paris. I mean, going to that kind of would give me the same feeling when the World Cup of soccer was in America in '94. I was at church one morning and this guy showed up and was like, "Hey, I have these tickets to the World Cup and I can't go. Do you and your brothers want these?" And we couldn't get there. We had these free tickets. And this to me would feel finally balanced in my life if I could end up in this. It gives me the same exact feeling as a kid wanting to go to the World Cup game, wanting to see these American racers. We've just spent this whole episode talking about how we're pumped for, the Stars and Stripes. And now this satisfies that even more than, UTMB on some levels.
Right.
Pretty cool.
Who do we reach out to get you a official Team USA press badge?
Oh my gosh. You know what? Can I? Okay.
Can't we just, I mean, they have printers that can do something pretty similar.
Yeah.
Can't we just bootleg it?
Yeah. Yeah. We used to make fake IDs. Surely this isn't going to be.
That's Bad Runners Take style right there, right?
I'm going to bandit media this thing.
Go to an office supply store, get a laminating machine and a lanyard, and
dude, that's so good. All right, man. Well, hey, we set a record today, longest Bad Runners Take. But again, at the beginning, I said we're not going to do it too long just to be long. Like I just felt like we could have kept going. There's so much to talk about, and it went really well. So,
right.
Any final thoughts?
Yeah. No, that's it, man. Jam loaded with, tons of exciting things, past, present, and future. So we nailed it.
I'm stoked. All right, man. Let's do it again.